Hold on. Hey, how are you?
Hey, doing good. How are
Oh,
you?
I'm well out here shaking and moving.
Uh,
Shaking and moving as always.
good job.
I hear
That's
y'all
good.
got a
That's
storm. What
huh?
was that? I was gonna say I hear y'all got a big storm going on down that way.
Yeah, big hurricane.
Oh wow. I don't know how y'all do it.
Yeah, we're used to it.
Honestly, how do you get used to something like that?
You've been dealing with it your whole life. I remember my first hurricane was Andrew, and that's the worst one. And
Mm,
that was in like '92. I was like, what, 5? So, yeah.
wow. Yeah, no, I think I'll stay in the Midwest.
I know you got your theories,
Oh
right?
yeah.
That you want to
Oh
lay down for us.
yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Just kind of touching on you know, femininity and pseudo masculinity, how I see it, um, giving kind of a few examples that I've learned, how men grow up under other men who have no idea how hard and strong femininity really is, and they take it as more or less a thing that are tied to genders when it's really not.
Right. Okay, okay. I love that topic. So while you're, you know, setting up and everything, I'll share with you. There's a book that I read um, by Bell Hooks. I don't know if you know who that is, but she's really awesome. She transitioned, I think, last year or the beginning of this year. But she wrote a book called All About Love, and in the beginning, she's trying to find a definition for it because she mentioned how she struggled to find an exact definition that kind of incorporated everything. And she even delved into parenting, how some of us, we grow up with mothers who aren't even in tune with their femininity enough to love us truly. And so sometimes what they take on as love is really just care. So
Yes.
like they grow up thinking, okay, once I give you shelter, you got food to eat, like that's it. Because I gotta go and make the money, or I gotta go seek to other things that may be more feminine more masculine related. So because of that, you just get care and not really love or nurturing. And
Yes.
so that also affects not only the women but the men who are raised under these households. So then most of us operate not even knowing what love truly is, how it really looks, because we've never had that example. And then she kind of touched on what you were saying just now, which is men tend to look towards other men for advice on how to love when historically we have been conditioned previously in previous generations that the woman, the feminine, is the one who knows how to nurture. But
Yeah.
yet you taking advice from a man on how to love, and then not only that, women have done it too because they take advice from what Steve Harvey books and other men on how to love and how it kind of that whole conundrum. So it's actually pretty dope, and maybe you can kind of touch on your philosophy a bit for us.
And I mean, that is a brilliant point. See, for me, I sum love up in one word, technically, which is acceptance.
Okay.
Um, it's not about changing a person or making a person into what you need them to be.
Right.
I realized as a man myself, I've been on some pretty deep spiritual journeys. For myself, I realized that each of us have at least three beings that are operating codependently of each other within us. You have the spirit side of you, then you have your mental side and your physical side. And what I've come to learn for myself is those sides, they pretty much worked independently, and I never knew
Mhm.
it. So it was always like something was asleep within me. you turn around and you look at it, we all have a purpose, and we all have a purpose and a role to play in life. Just looking at science all in itself, until that extra chromosome kicks in and a boy becomes a boy, we're all female upon conception. We could go either way. Um, and that's just, I mean, that's just science. Whenever that chromosome kicks in for me and I start developing into a man, my role changes. It's women that have always brought life into existence, unless you're like a seahorse or something. I guess the males have babies, but for the most part, even if you look into most of the animal kingdom, if there's no men around, uh, fish, they got a fish called a parrotfish. That fish, if there's no men around, the most dominant female will take on the gender of a male role to continue the species.
Exactly.
Women, they have to, when a man doesn't truly know his role, because any species that does not have a era to where the species thrive, you see them all on the endangered species list.
Hmm.
So you have to be able to thrive. And for what I find is when you have men that have been hurt, or they pass it on, and hurt people tend to hurt people. And I'm getting to a place where I can actually pull over so that I can really get into this a little bit. But you have people hurt people hurt people. A man been hurt by a woman. So what does he do? He encourages other men not to make the same mistakes. You have women that have been hurt by men. What do? They teach women, younger women, not to make the same mistakes, and it is a revolving circle. For a man who does not know, as a man, what I've learned for myself is I am going to produce and produce and produce. And it doesn't matter what I give my children's mother, if we together, if we're not together, as long as I have enough, say I keep enough for myself to be able to continue to produce, that gives the children the ability to thrive, whether me and the mom are together or they can thrive on either side and see what it's like to have healthy relationships. So it's that's where how I feel on a big part of the situation.
I agree with you, especially about seeing the bigger picture for the kids. Uh, would you do you believe that everyone can tap into both masculine and feminine energy, or do you like how do you view that when it comes to balancing the two?
The
As a
truth
man,
is, you got to know that you have both. You know what I'm saying?
okay,
And it breaks
right?
back down to that science. Like, we were all feminine at one point in
Good
time.
point. Right, right.
So at that point in time, like I say, people tie it to gender.
Mhm.
You got females, so they put the feminine. You got males, so they put the masculine. But the truth is, if you were to rate femininity on a hard scale like you do materials and minerals, or minerals, femininity would have to be a diamond. It would have to be a hardest part of everything, because it's always been women who have brought life in to uh, take what's needed to be able to survive and to allow those children to thrive. So I believe, without a doubt, we both have feminine and masculine. And the only way to really understand that is to take the gender off of it.
Correct, correct. I agree with that wholeheartedly because think about the typical actions that we do in life. Those are also tied towards feminine or masculine. Maybe when you stand up for yourself, maybe someone might say that's more masculine. Are we to say that only men can do that? So I get what you're saying. Absolutely, I agree, 100%. Um, what do you feel about? Talk about like as a child though, from the perspective of you as a child, your household, how you grew up, and how you led to this discovery.
So for me, I'm the youngest of six, and I grew up under a single mom. And throughout my life, my mom didn't have many boyfriends.
Mhm.
It got to a point to where I think I might have been 12 or 13, and my mom never had a boyfriend after that. And at when my mom passed, she was like 70. She was 70 years old. Um, but what I saw growing up is, and I see it a lot, It get cold outside. Guys want to quit running around. And cuffing season, I don't even think it's really intended for women. It's intended for the pseudo masculine males who need a place to stay. You know?
Right.
So women, y'all have had, and I watched it with my mother. Regardless of how you want to be, you could want to be as soft as you want, but when you have the duty of taking care of other lives, and that's where it comes from, where the lady was saying the difference between being loved and being cared for. You don't
Exactly.
even get an opportunity to instill what it is. I see a lot of women don't even know what it means to love themselves because they have to continue to work. They have to
Hmm.
continue to do this. They have to. So on that aspect, I just believe that how can people who say it like, you gotta love yourself before you can love someone else.
Hmm. Yeah.
And there are a lot of women who don't have time to practice self-love. And I'm not talking about, oh, going and getting your nails done. I'm talking about that internal spiritual work that leads to
Exactly.
you to be able to be like, when you love your kids, you can express that and you know how to express your emotions to your children.
Hmm.
So they can grow up knowing how to
Right.
express their emotions. You know, y'all grow up, a lot of women have children young, due to either dealing with knucklehead young boys or older
Hmm.
men who are still older boys and not
Right.
actually dealing with men. So
Yeah, they
you
haven't
get
even
stuck with
found
that
themselves
baby.
either. Right.
So, yeah, so for me, like I say, I grew up and I mean, it took me a long time to really get to the point to where I could say, you know what? I understand my role. I understand her role. I understand if a woman did something that we all have that. I want to be the victim. You did this to me or you did that to me. And it's a repetitive blame game on both sides. I got to a point to where I said, well, I did this to you. You reacted this way. I don't get to choose how you react to what I did to you. And it made me appreciate women in general. I believe women need a certain amount of, I won't even say praise, it's more so worship. Like it's something that is needed. And if you are not meeting all of the aspects, let's say I said it's three beings living inside you, and a man can only take care of the two. If a man's taking care of your physical needs and your mental needs, if he's not feeding your spirit, you're going to do like somebody who got a kidney transplant and the kidney ain't the match for the body. You're going to reject them.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it has to be, all three needs have to be met. And there is a certain amount of worship because it's that woman, I mean, really is a man's nature, like your mother nature. You know what I'm saying? We come from our mothers. We should be nurtured by our mothers. We're cared for by our mothers. If you looked at our genitalia and the way that we match up, you could look at a man as having a root and he's implanting himself into something which is going to nurture him and care for him and give him the things that he needs, and she won't reject him until she feels like he's taking so much of her that she cannot continue to live. So she has to reject him to be able to survive, and that's literally survival. And
I agree with
I've
you.
seen it. I've seen it. I've lived through it. And I see it daily. Whenever you look back and you look at how many marriages fell. 1 out of 3 marriages fell within the first 5 years. That's crazy. You have women who have learned that they can survive without men. You have men that are not supplying the needs of the family and producing in a way that they're supposed to. So, when you look at it, I mean, it's just the proof is in the pudding.
It's all out of whack. I think I agree with you wholeheartedly for that too. I mean, you spending some real good knowledge that I think is very important for everybody to know. But it's like you said, it is the exchange of the energies
Hmm.
that is crucial to our survival and to our kids' future. Because how I look at it, and maybe you can piggyback on that, is just when you have the relationship right, you have this man, masculine, and he's providing and he's attaining to the woman's spiritual needs, her physical needs, mentally, everything. And then she's able to be in her nature, her feminine energy wholeheartedly and pass that nurturing on to the kids and also emotionally supports him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like this exchange, a bounce back. And once she does that, because men need that. I mean, like you said, you grew up with a mother, and that mother, um, no matter what, she provided some kind of nurturing, maybe softness. She was there to keep you going. Like when you know how it is as a man, especially in this society now, you have to deal with so much in the world externally. So when you come home, having that safe space to not feel attacked by someone else again, right?
Yeah.
Not to feel disrespected or viewed in a negative way, for someone to truly see through you, understand you, uplift you, encourage you, and allow you to be comfortable in your masculine energy without, disrespecting you, allowing you to be in that safe space. It's going to lift you up, build you up. Your frequency is going to go higher naturally, and you're going to continue to want to love, want to pour into her. So it fuels that, it inspires both parties to love and pour into each other, right? Without being disconnected. But once everything goes out of whack, right? Because we don't have that balance, we don't have that touch and go. So now we all out of whack. So now I got to do more of your job, and now I'm gonna like curse you about it or disrespect you now, and as a result, now he's going to shut down. He's going to go the other way. Man, forget this. I'm out. So everyone kind of, it gets haywired. So that's what I think we have to focus on, is like the balance and pouring into each other and allowing each party to allow the other one to tap into their energy
Mm-hmm.
like completely and freely to do what they got to do. And you do the same. But once that connection or that system is broken, or chipped away gradually, is when the problems happen.
And I agree with
I don't know
that.
what you think
And
about that. Yeah.
it is, and I agree with that, but I want to take it just like one step farther, right? Because as a man, I'm fighting against the
Mhm.
world, which is technically saying whenever I'm out of this house, like I have to be that lion, I have to be that beast. That's where the masculinity part is
Come
supposed
right.
to be, right? But when I come home, because I have both masculine and feminine energy, like I have to be allowed to be in my feminine energy just as well. You know what I'm saying? Like being at home is not a time to be hard. You know, I once heard somebody say it's a difference between nice guys and good guys. Nice guys are
Mm-hmm.
liars and they're passive. Good guys, they go out, we do what we need to do, and then we can clean that energy off of us, come home, and our ladies and our children can still be under us, and we're not passing off of all of the other things that we had to do. So it is literally, it's about the balance. If I have to spend 8 hours sleep, 8 hours at work, and I'm spending 8 hours at home, the sleep time is what is going is the body, the physical recharge, the mental rest. The 8 hours outside, that's pretty much masculinity and having to
Mm-hmm.
go out here and have a go get it mentality. And whenever I'm home with my woman and my children, that is that time to where I can be soft and I can because if whenever children grow up with their fathers and grow up under their fathers, like I have a 6-year-old daughter and all she wants to do, it doesn't matter if she's doing homework, it doesn't matter if she's eating, it doesn't matter if she's watching TV, she wants to do it up under me. So at that point in time, that feminine nurturing energy is what I'm displaying with her and my 4-year-old son. You know what I'm saying? Like to be able to
Mm-hmm.
nurture them and educate them and be soft, and I'm not barking and biting the same way I have to out in the world whenever I have to deal with all of the things that come with that.
Mhm.
So it's that balance, you know. If I'm sleep 8 hours, I gotta spend 8 hours being masculine, and I want to spend the other 8 hours being nurturing and doing what I need to do, and being able to recharge and clean both sides of my energy.
Yeah, I got you. Um, what do you think? Because I want to touch on something you just said. Uh, you mentioned about as a man leaving to go outside in the world, and when you come back home, you kind of clean that all off to go home in a different kind of, I guess, with a different type of attitude. I want to talk about that more in depth because I think that's really important as well. And I'll reference a video that
Hmm.
is out there. Don't know if you've seen it, but Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin had a
Okay.
conversation. These are like poets, writers, and they're well known in literary world. They had a conversation back in the days, and one of the things Nikki Giovanni said to James Baldwin was, when you're out in the world and you're at your job and you're with the guys, you're you fake it for them, right? When you out in the world, you fake that you good. Like, how are you doing? I'm okay. I'm good. Like, think about when you talk to your boss. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm good, boss. I got it. I got this. And so the attitude that you have with the outside world, you're able to fake it with them. But then when you come home, I get the worst of you because it's already used up. Like, that good energy is already used up in the outside world. So when you come home, I get the worst parts of you. I get the ugly parts. I get the frustrated parts. And what I want to know is, why can't you fake it with me? If you love me, why am I the one who you like put on a fake smile for me, like tap into me? And so I want to know what you think about that. Like, I paraphrased it. It
Yeah,
sounded
I
pretty dope when
follow.
they said it, but
Yeah, I'm
so
definitely picking up what you're putting down.
how do you what do you think about the fake faces or the fake front that you have to put on in the world versus at home? How does that tie in?
Unfortunately, I think one, when you get home, you're already tired. You know what I'm saying? You've
Right.
been faking it all day. You're tired. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't, you know, at home you got your wife beater on, you got your curlers in your hair, you got this, you got
Mm-hmm.
that, whatever it is. That's not what you're showing everybody else. You know, for the most part, we work in customer service or we're trying to get a raise. You know, I will say that my second wife, before getting divorced, I asked her, I said, what would you rather have, a Range Rover or a wedding? And she said, I would rather have a wedding. You know, a lot of people would put 15, $20,000 into a wedding day and won't put 15 or $20,000 into counseling to make the marriage work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's more about the face of the situation and not really what it is. And unfortunately, I mean, a lot of people really live and operate like that, and it is a horrible thing. Um, I tell people I'm going to be who I'm going to be, in or out. You know, if you don't have a spirit of helping people, if you don't have there are certain people that should not be parents, I believe. There are certain people who shouldn't do relationships. You know, not everything is for everybody. These people go out into the world, they wear this fake face for 8 to 10 hours a day, and then they come home and they take that mask off, and then you're left with what's left over. And unfortunately, you're the person that they're comfortable with. You're the person that they feel safe with. So what happens? I feel comfortable with you. So now I can lash out at you and I'm not fearful of retaliation. I mean, look at how many young people in the streets, like, are these men and women, won't fight the same sex as them, but to go home and fight the opposite sex. Why is that? Because they feel safe where they're at. They don't know what this other person is going to do to them, but they know what you won't do
Right,
to them.
right,
You know,
right.
and because of that, it people do harsh, mean, hateful things to people that they claim to love. And the one thing that I've learned about love is love don't really switch up. If your mama loved you when you was a child, you got on your mom's nerves and she still loved you. Dad the same way, brothers and sisters the same way. Y'all might not talk for a while, but you still love each other. If a person can switch up and be like, I love you one day and I can hate you a couple weeks later, I don't know what it is, but I would never define that as love.
Right.
Being harsh and hurtful, um, and not being able to say there's a difference between you and the situation that we're having, like that doesn't make sense to me. I can walk away from a situation and it doesn't mean that I'm walking away from you. I just realize if we're to the point to where we're yelling, we've lost the ability to reason and use logic. And then it's like a bell. Once you ring the bell, you cannot unring that bell. Once you put it out there, it's out there. So I think that's just, it's something that comes with maturity. And if a person
Absolutely.
is giving you all of that harshness, they've not matured enough to be in a relationship. And they will continue to be that way. And for men, until a man knows his purpose and a woman knows her purpose, like, and like I said, it's, men are known for brute strength. Even in, what was it? Greek mythology, Zeus hated Ares because Ares was the god of war. He loved Athena because she was born of his brain. She knew strategy. She knew this. And a lot of the times that's where our women are. Like women have thought of every permutation of something and you're still trying to add 1 plus 1 together as a man. So you just leave her alone, let her operate the way that she wants to, move out of each other's way, and then come back to each other when you can calm down.
Right.
I read an article that talked about, I forget where I read it at. Most domestic violence between couples happen immediately after the workday, when there's no time to have, wind down is a very serious and real thing. And if you've not wound down or found a way to burn off that negative energy, you're gonna take it wherever you go, and it shows.
And I think that ties into just overall mental health. Like, if we are able to tap into those resources and know what to do when we're feeling frustrated, to still acknowledge the feeling but not project it onto someone else, I think that's kind of key, right? Because you
Yeah.
finish with work, yeah, you're stressed. Everybody accepts that. But at what point are you doing your part as an adult, a functioning adult, to deal with it in a healthy way that doesn't project onto someone else? Because I think that's where the issue lies. And then if you're able to be that mentally mature or spiritually mature, um, you won't have this as an issue because you know the importance of a simple conversation. And so you're in
Yeah.
your safe space where you're free to express yourself. And the other person who's on the receiving end of listening to you vent and talk about your day, they do have to be mature but spiritually as well to be able to just listen actively
Hmm.
and just be there for you, not necessarily to take it over or take it on, but just to hear and see through all that and see that if he's talking to me about his day and he's venting to me in this way, that's really genuine and raw, that means that he's safe with me. And that's all that is important. And then once we get out of our own ego and just to see that, I think everything will be much better. Another thing related to what you said was that I wanted to ask was part of being, spiritually mature is for you to realize and recognize that there's an issue and you need to go on this journey, right? To find out who you are. if you had the, how do I phrase this? A perfect household. Tell me what's the role of this person, what's the role of that person, and how that looks. Like, because a lot of people, we talk all this philosophy and stuff, but some people just want to know, like, how does that look
Um, as a
in your
mature
opinion?
man now, um,
Yes.
her role is to tell me what happens, and my role is to keep my mouth shut. No, in all honesty, it is like I said, it comes with a certain level of worshiping the divinity of her femininity, and making her feel like her thoughts, her words, because women do something that men cannot do. When a woman tells a man how she feels, it doesn't mean that her feelings won't change, but
Right.
she is your verbal cortex and your emotional cortexes are tied together. So once you say something, you're telling me at that moment exactly how you feel. You know, because we don't do, like you said, active listening. And because most people live in their egos and never experience ego dissolution, um, they are trying to think of something to say at the same time that you're talking.
Right.
And my late mother used to always tell me, think twice, speak once. Um, it was more so about being able to listen effectively. If I had to define roles, I would say just slow down. You know, be careful with the misplaced anger, because a lot of the times y'all aren't even mad at each other. You're mad because of all of the stress that you had out in the world, and you still feel like you got to come home and you got to fight.
Right.
There's never truly a reason to be unkind. So as long as I can understand what she's telling me and I can actively listen to that, um, my role is to produce to a level, no matter what I don't have for me, that they can thrive. And I feel like her role was to continue the species, continue to make sure our children are good, make sure that she has the time to be that loving and caring person and not have to be hardened every moment of every day. So I think it's more so the mentally and spiritual thing. And if you can take care of those in the aspect, it'll give her time to take care of the physical, and it should be vice versa.
Right. Because I
Yeah.
tend to think that, like, I agree with what you said. Like, that really made me think about it, where I just think, like, men are more, like, into fixing things, like,
Hmm.
solution based.
Hmm.
Like, okay, this is the problem. You told me, get to the point. All right, you told me the problem. Here's a solution. Where women like to think about it, analyze it, tap into that emotional side first. Like, we got to get emotionally sound first and know exactly how we feel about it. Then we have to sit in it. We got to process it. Then we start thinking, okay, well, what am I going to do about it? Men are just straight to the solution.
Yeah.
This is this is the problem. Okay, do this. Bam, over. Next. And we're like, no, no, no. We need to feel like, we want to talk. When we
Yeah.
talk, we gotta be like excessive when we talk. We gotta tell you everything, every angle. And some men are just like,
I don't got time for that. It's too much. It's overload. You think about it. If you really think about it, um, man, oh my God. So a man might not like the way that your mom treats him or your
right,
dad.
right,
And we're trying to, it goes back to that thinking and feeling thing, and we're not good at that. So what we really, you gotta forgive my language for this because I'm gonna just be 100. What we're really trying to say is, I don't like the way that your mother treats me, or I don't like the way that your family treats me. But the
right.
words that come out our mouths be like, your family,
Yeah,
you know.
right,
But
exactly.
it's not really that harsh. We just don't, we're trying to calculate how we feel and
Okay.
then put the words out, and it doesn't really add up. So a lot of the times your man will say something to you and it'll come off as harsh because of tone, because of your emotional state that you may already be in, and the actual words. That's like women, y'all look to see if our words and our actions are gonna match up. And a man is telling you, like, listen, don't worry about what I say, worry about what I do as long as I'm doing right, and
Right.
that's what matters. But you told me you were gonna bring me an orange and you brought me a tangerine, and we're like, yo, it's that little small difference. You wanted an orange. I brought you something a little bit smaller. And to us, we're looking like this is something small, but to you all, it's catastrophic. And because we don't understand the amount of damage that that one small change made, you know, a man does not often live in his emotions or his feelings. We is bred out of
Exactly.
us early. When something happens to when a man does something to a woman or something happens to a woman, whenever she thinks about that, it's like she's actually reliving that exact moment. And it could have been 4 years ago, but to
Right.
you, you're trapped in it. And for a man, it's like, okay, I thought about this. Ooh, this ain't getting me nowhere. And then they move on. They might revisit it. Another thing is a woman will say, give me an example. And whenever you give her an example of something, to her it's old stuff or it's what, and to a man it's not even an excuse or anything else. It was just like you told me to give you something and I'm trying to give it to you, and then it moved to something totally different. So at certain times it's just best to know when to be quiet and allow your partner to process whatever it is that she needs to process, to be able to move out of that at a point in time and understand as a man that control is an illusion and you really don't control anything, and you cannot control how long your partner is mad at you. You can't control how long your partner is hurt by your actions. The one thing that you can do as a mature man is love her through her hurt, through her pain, through her anger, and hope for the best. You know,
What
work
can a
towards and hope for.
female do though? What can a female do to satisfy the masculine in your opinion? What does a masculine man need? Tell us.
Mm. Well, I would say respect. I'm gonna be honest. If your man think you respect him, if he not even think, if he feels like you respect him. See, women were built to receive. Y'all push out so much, but you're also built to take in. Um, what is it? And it kind of falls both ways, but we use two totally different words. Emerus, Emerson Eggerson wrote a book called Love and Respect. And I tell anybody, if you get the opportunity to read this book, um, if a woman does not feel loved, if a woman is hurt, you get words like bitch ass nigga and this and that and excuse the language, but these are the terms and the things that you get. And to a man, it's like it is like they already, most of them already suffer from pseudo masculinity. Now you are taking that away from them. You know, truthfully, a man wants to feel respected. And if a man feels respected, he will continue to reciprocate the love that a woman is going to need. And that's literally what the book talked about. And I say I have my godparents have been together forever. My godfather, his parents were together forever. We talking about teenage years, you know. Um, and it's a level of the respect that his mom gives, and to be able to let him wind down. Um, a lot of the times, if your man is upset or if your man feels some kind of way, the best thing that you could do is let him walk away from it. Like, don't say nothing, don't weaponize your silence. Just be like, babe, you need some time. Take time, go wind down. Are you hungry? Just like those small things is technically really all a man really needs, is to feel appreciated. Women feel like they're taken for granted because most women, well, I ain't gonna say most women, because women, y'all do things on a whole different level and are good at it. Um, but a woman who really loves a man, I don't find often cheats, and they are hurt because they know that they have options. To me, loyalty is having options and still coming home. You know what I'm saying? Like never eating outside the house. I have women, which is really weird to me, that hit me up all week long. I'm not going to step out for something, and getting older, I realize like there's certain risks I'm not willing to take. There are certain risks. Like I love being monogamous. I love being a father. I could never see myself passing something on. Like it's not. Most men don't look at it as like, ooh, I'm gambling with her life too. I'm gambling with the children's life. And that's the mindset of a young man and young women too. I won't say young, immature.
Right.
Because it takes a certain level of maturity to get to that point to where we're all tempted. The best part of having a son is I only have to worry about two penises. The scary part about being a father to three girls, I have to worry about billions of them. They all, like women have options, and guys are just standing in line. Immature men, they're just standing in line. One of my friends, her is married, went to church with a guy here. After 20 years, his wife passes. And this guy is literally hitting on my friend, pretty much like, yo, if you leave him, you'll be happy over here. But this is a church man. I told her that is a man without morals. It's a man without morals. It's literally don't cover your neighbor's wife, and this is literally what you would do. So ultimately, give that man respect. If he's upset, give him time. For women, for that man, never allow her to feel like you're taking her for granted or taking advantage. Producing a level to where
Oh, that cut off.
uh,
Okay, go ahead. Producing.
say again, I'm sorry.
You were saying producing.
Oh yeah, producing in a level to where your family could thrive with or without you.
Okay.
There's never a reason to be unkind. Never make her feel as if she is taken for granted, or you're pretty much just abusing situations with her. Um, you know, the truth is you should be giving each other worship, because at the end of the day, I want to know that you got my back, and I want to make sure that without a reasonable doubt, I'm going out here, and what's that thing? My hands look like this, so yours don't have to.
Right.
You but yeah, I mean, other than that, be careful with misplaced anger. It's the things that we already know and we just don't do.
Don't do it. We don't.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay to walk away from a situation. Just let me know that you're not walking away from me,
Right.
and we're good. Yeah, that's how I look at it anyway. I can't speak for
Hmm.
nobody else, but that is how I view relationships
Yeah.
and look at it, and understanding, true masculinity and the true strength of femininity. And I think that all men need to be able to get in touch with that
Any
side of
other
them.
like, any other points that you want to mention or touch on that you think is very crucial for us to know or consider?
If you know what, there is one. If your children cannot see you having a cordial relationship with their other partner, and if holding grudges, all of that stuff, if your children see this, what chances do they have to have healthy relationships on their of their own as they grow older? You know, our children take a lot of the baggage that we go through, um, with, you know, at one point in time, you loved each other enough to lay down and make a child for most people. And it's important for your child to know that side as well and not just the aftermath of everything else. No matter what that, you know, they'll always see it as they grow older, who may have been the problem, who may not have been the problem, or they just may say, my mom and dad loved each other, but it just didn't work. But at least they don't have to carry the baggage of your relationship and your past because, truth be told, our children grow up seeing us in multiple relationships. And if they don't see any relationship that work, how can we ever fix our community? You know, so I think that pretty much would be it for me. If I could give anything, just, you know, bet on the future, bet on your children. You know, that's it. Want to see them have better relationships that you do. And, you know, my oldest is 21. And I tell her, if you got somebody you're interested in, you got a guy that you like,
Mhm.
let me meet him. I ain't gonna run him off. Let
Right,
me meet him.
right.
Reason being is because I've been a man my whole life. If you feel sick,
Exactly.
you go to a doctor. You
That's right.
feel, you know, your ring, you lose a diamond in your ring, you go to a
You
specialist.
right.
I'm a specialist whenever it comes to men. Um, so it's just being patient,
Right.
and knowing it don't cost nothing to love somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
The one thing you can definitely do for free is love somebody, and it ain't gotta cost you nothing. So,
Exactly.
you know, that would definitely be it for me.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge with us.
I appreciate you having me. I see what you're doing out here, and it was really joy and a blessing to be a part of it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, we'll definitely connect. Thank you. Do you want to drop your username or anything that you want to promote that you?
Nah, not at the time. I don't think this would be the first time we do this. Matter of fact,
Yeah,
next
I know,
whenever I
right?
get mine up and going, this is my first interview, so whenever I get mine up and going, I'm gonna have you be my first interview.
Good, good, good. All right, now.
All
Much
right, thank you,
respect. Thank you.
thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye.